Prey is an IP with a crazy history, from a nearly 10-year development cycle beginning all the way back in 1995 to receiving multiple Game of the Year awards from various outlets when it finally did release, to a sequel that looked to completely change the formula but was ultimately canceled due to internal politics, and eventually to having its name stripped from the IP and bolted onto a completely unrelated immersive sim from Arcane Studios in 2017. Prey has been floating around the gaming world for 30 years as both an incredible shooter and a cautionary tale about buying into the hype of early marketing of video games. Despite all of the praise for the original Prey and the fact that it was basically impossible to live through the Xbox 360 era without hearing its name or seeing that cover art, I never got around to actually playing it. I ended up spotting this copy of it at my local game store, and it shot right to the top of my backlog immediately. And on principle, I like to go into games blind, so I held off on researching anything about it before I started it. All I knew going in was people liked it. People are sad that the sequel got canceled, and Arcane's Prey was completely unrelated, and they were forced to use Prey's name for pretty much no reason. And I don't really know what I was expecting, but it sure as shit wasn't this.
Don't be scared. I'm getting us out of here, I promise.
Prey released in July of 2006 after 10 years in development. It was developed by Human Head Studios under contract by 3D Realms of Duke Nukem fame, or infamy as it would later turn out.
What kind of sick motherfucker picks up wet feces?
2K Games helped to publish the title, a fact that will become very relevant later in this video. Prey was praised for its opening sequence where an alien ship abducts the player and all other humans in the area. On board the ship, the player experiences gruesome mutilations and executions of the other victims. And this first hour of the game also shows off the innovative tech possible with the new id Tech 4 engine, as gravity shifts and some optical illusions and forced perspective puzzles occur, in addition to the use of orange and blue portals to teleport around the battlefield. And if you're thinking this is just a ripoff of Portal, remember that this came out a year and a half before Valve's Portal, so this blew the minds of players and reviewers. Prey would go on to sell over 1 million copies and has a respectable Metacritic score of 83. The game was so successful that 3D Realms would announce that Prey 2 was in development only 6 months after the original release. Unfortunately for hopeful players, Prey 2 wouldn't even start development in earnest until 2009, and the game would eventually become a casualty of corporate politics, as it would miss its announced 2012 release window before being canceled altogether in 2014. You can still find people reminiscing about what could have been if Prey 2 was released, and all of that excitement and disappointment had to come from somewhere, right? Well, anyway, I'm Ice Cold Snake, and I'm on a mission to beat my backlog. I'm finally getting around to playing the games that I skipped back when they were released. So 19 years later, I finally played Prey to answer the question, was it actually good? If you enjoy this kind of retrospective, you can support the channel for free by clicking the like button or subscribing and clicking the bell to be notified when new videos are uploaded. A massive thank you to my channel members who support my channel. If you'd like to support me and have your name included in this list, you can click the link in the pinned comment to become a channel member for only $1 a month. Prey is a first-person shooter developed in the then cutting-edge id Tech 4 engine. It was meant to be a showcase for the power of the engine, and anyone who has ever played Doom 3 will know exactly what it feels like. The player takes control of Damacy Tawadi, also known as Tommy, a member of the Cherokee tribe. Within minutes of the game starting, an alien craft shows up and abducts Tommy, his girlfriend Jen, and his grandfather Anisi from their bar in the southeastern US. Tommy is able to escape his fate of being processed on the assembly line for human processing, but unfortunately Anisi perishes and Jen is swept off to parts unknown.
Oh my god, no! No!
We battle through the ship known as the Sphere to find Jen. Along the way, Tommy is guided by the spirit of Anisi and Talon, his dead pet. Between several missions, Tommy travels to the spirit realms to converse with Anisi and unlocks new spirit powers. Eventually, we'll meet Eloit and a group of survivors from a previous abduction known as the Hidden. How these fuckers have been surviving in this shithole for years is beyond me, but I just shut off the part of my brain that has to nitpick everything to shit, which pretty much means all of it. Elowit guides Tommy to Jen's location and promises to use their portal device to rescue Tommy and Jen if Tommy can kill the Keeper. We fight through the sphere, battling grotesque abominations of grafted human and alien parts, solving portal and gravity shifting puzzles, and suffering through some of the most god-awfully, mind-numbingly fucking boring shuttle flying sections as we progress on our mission to save Jen, kill the Keepers, and get back to the bar to have a nice cold pint and wait for all of this to blow over. The combat is straight out of that old school style of arena shooter. If you're looking for a game where you need to use anything more complex than a simple circle strafe, you've come to the wrong neighborhood. By the end of the game, you'll have about 8 weapons you can cycle through. Sticking with the theme that everything comes from this alien ship, none of the weapons are immediately familiar. They are all just these weird combinations of alien glowing fleshy objects. Thankfully, they all have human-shaped triggers for Tommy to go on an alien murder spree, but none of the guns really left that much of an impression on me. One weird thing with the weapons is that they don't need to reload. Actually, hitting the X button makes you throw a grenade, and I can't count the number of times I accidentally threw a grenade when I was instinctively trying to reload a half-spent clip. When Tommy gains access to the spirit world, he no longer dies when he's in combat. Instead, you'll be sent to the spirit world where you can use this bow to kill these flying spirits to restore health or spirit in a timed minigame before you're sucked back to where you would have died. There's nothing special really about the combat. There's no advanced tactics. There's very few opportunities where you'll need to take an approach other than run and gun. Instead, the main focus in Prey is progressing the story and experiencing the mind-bending puzzles for navigating the ship. Tommy can exit his body to go into the spirit world, which unlocks paths only available when you're inside the spirit world. His spiritual projection can also interact with panels, leading to some very cool puzzles where you'll need to leave your body behind on a platform that will move once you've interacted with a panel from your spirit form. My explanation really doesn't do it any justice. There are so many times where I was just wowed by the sheer creativity of the puzzles. And gravity manipulation is also used in the puzzle design. Activating certain panels allows you to walk on walls and ceilings, leading to some really exceptional changes in perspective. There are also these panels that you can shoot in order to switch gravity, but the puzzles involving these were just my least favorite. Even the boss combat encounters play out like puzzles. This one in particular is etched into my mind for its creativity. This hulking beast will shred you unless you duck into one of these side rooms. When the monster reaches his hand in to grab at you, you can activate the panel to turn on the energy shield, which cuts off its arm. Then you can pick up the gun that was attached to it and use it to kill him off.
See how you fuckers like it.
The gruesomeness of the sphere and what is happening to the humans is exceptionally crafted. This isn't aliens abducting people for science. This is humanity being consumed to fulfill their purpose. Around every corner is another terrifying sight of what the aliens are doing to the humans. Whether it's teleporting an airplane full of passengers from the sky to crash land in the sphere, or it's grafting humans onto these dog-like creatures, I just couldn't wait to see what Human Head Studios was able to come up with next. But eventually, the plot takes us to needing to climb the sphere, which involves getting into some shuttles to fly around, blasting enemies, and doing some light puzzles involving tractor beams. It's at this point that the game really drags. It's just a bunch of long stretches of monotonous flying and shooting, and this is when I started to notice how long the gaps are between story beats. You could spend an entire hour without hearing a character's voice. Eventually, we reach Jen and find her attached to one of those beasts, and after killing it, Tommy makes the tough decision to end her life and put her out of her misery. Then Tommy reaches the Keepers and discovers that the sphere seeded Earth and many other planets with life in order to eventually consume them. Tommy takes out the Keepers and eventually finds the being that's in charge of the sphere. The mother, also a human, once fought and defeated the previous mother before taking control of the sphere. After taking her out, Tommy takes control of the sphere for himself. Tommy becomes overloaded with the data and the power that's now in his possession, but thankfully his grandfather is able to remind him from beyond the grave that with great power comes great responsibility. So Tommy ends up flying the sphere into the sun to put an end to it all. Then the story writers just decided to pull a full-ass cop-out, and Tommy wakes up in the bar 6 months later. The world thinks that people disappeared because of an unexplained natural phenomenon, and then Tommy turns around and finds that the Hidden have shown up. Apparently, they had their own portal machine that they used to escape the sphere before it burned up. They say that there are others on other worlds that would like to meet Tommy and send him through a portal where the scene fades to show Prey will continue. And oh man, that ending makes everything feel so much worse now looking back with the knowledge that the sequel was stuck in development hell and canceled because of corporate politics. Having researched the sequel thanks to Prey Museum, a website that archives all information about Prey, I can't say that I would have been that interested in the sequel that they were going for anyway. The plan for Prey 2 was to take the player to another world where they would inhabit the shoes of a bounty hunter in an open world setting, and really the only things to link it to the original Prey was the supposed reappearance of Tommy and that the main character was a passenger on the plane that crashed into the sphere. The radical shift in concept and the attempt to gobble. The radical shift in concept and the attempt to cobble together a loose thread sound to me like the perfect storm for a terrible sequel. Instead, it got canceled because ZeniMax acquired the rights and Bethesda deemed the project wasn't meeting their quality standards. Insert joke about Bethesda here. According to some former developers, apparently it was actually in a working alpha state before Bethesda shut down the project, and it's believed that this was retaliation after Bethesda failed a hostile takeover of Human Head Studios. Bethesda would later force Arcane Austin to use Prey as the name for their 2017 title, despite it having no connection to the 2006 Prey. So let's answer the main question for this video. Yeah, Prey is actually really good. I'm a little upset with myself that it took me this long to play it, but pretty glad that I finally did. I was genuinely surprised at how well it commits to the atmosphere and to the story that it's trying to tell. Back in 2006, this was cutting edge and shocking, and in 2025, the creativity still shines through. There are some glaring game design problems that take away from the experience, like the shuttle sequences and the length between story moments, but there's enough good here to outweigh any of that. Overall, it's a damn good game. So what do you think? Is Prey actually good? Have you played it? Is it still on your backlog? Are you disappointed that Prey 2 never saw the light of day? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, let me know if there's a game that I should play and cover to answer the question, was it actually good?